Good morning. Hey, how are ya?
Good morning. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Tune in. I hope you are. Welcome again to the
Positive Energy Podcast
with Marcy and Kelly. I, of course, am Kelly A. Watts, and this is my partner in spirit and crime, Marcy Lambert-Pellegrino. How's everyone doing today? Hope you're feeling the good, positive vibe that we're giving off. Kind of full of energy myself. In some of our previous episodes, we talked about quite a few different things. We want to kind of wrap up some of the stuff that we were talking about in that introductory series. We talked about energy itself and vibration. We talked about energy flow and moving it. We talked a little bit about the different disciplines with yoga and meditation.
Qigong, talk about your experience in golf.
No. Well, this is applicable for today, in fact, because today we're actually talking about energy absorption. I think we had mentioned before about energy absorption in an early episode on energy that energy impacts everything, and the things are either absorbed or they're reflected back. So for unnatural objects, like, for example, a table. A rock is considered a natural object, honestly. A rock absorbs energy and it also gives it off. That's why rocks, crystals, minerals, metal, things like that, those things work for us. But more along the lines of like something that's been put together, like plastic, like a bottle, for example, a plastic bottle. That would actually energy would hit it and it would just reverb back and bounce off. So it gives off a vibration. When we talked about vibration, we talked about that. Well, again, for other things that are natural, or part of the natural universe, they absorb that energy and take it in. And that's what we do.
Consciously.
Correct. So we want to talk about that a bit, and where do we get that from, and how do we use it?
We already know it's the sun. We talked about that.
It's
all those little sun goddesses. We know a few out there that like to sunbathe, and you can take advantage of that.
That's correct. Take it in. Be healthy, of course. Don't take it in too much. If your melanin count is not as high as mine,
oh my God,
please make sure you put on some sunscreen.
Oh my God.
But be healthy about it. You want to take in the sun.
That's where the health and well-being comes in.
If you take in too much of the sun, what ends up happening? Your skin gets burned.
And then you get sun poisoning.
Yeah, melanoma. You get cancer from that. So. But we want to talk about that.
That's our message.
Taking our energy in from the sun is very easy. It's either a passively done process or an active process.
Mine had to be taught, obviously.
We actually do it naturally.
No, I know that, but I mean, to be conscious of it. One of my best friends told me about that. I mentioned it before, the sunroof.
Talk about it. Talk about that. Share that, please.
I just had a really hard time absorbing it, and with all the other gifts I have, I'm like, why is this taking so long? And she told me to envision, and you already know because I mentioned it, the sun roof, and you have it open and you can feel it going all the way down. You're pulling it down at the same time as you start to pull things. If you're sitting on the grass or whatnot, pulling that energy up. And that visual was remarkable. And seriously, that day I was like, it worked.
Perfect example of energy.
Because you feel
absorption.
tingly. You feel like tingly. Yep. It's like
and not only did you absorb it, but you moved it to where it needed to go. So, I mean, we're really talking about energy absorption and energy transfer. It's a perfect example.
Oh, and then I have the other one, too.
Come on.
Talk. One of my other really good friends, she was having kind of a down time, and I was hanging out with her. This is the whole, when you're around someone that's, boisterous and makes you happy and kind of, rubs off on you, and likewise the other way. And I told her, she can take some of my energy. And so she put her palm over mine, and her palm was, on fire. I was like, holy, you know what I mean? She was on fire. But anyway, she said, I'm going to do something. Tell me if you feel it. So I closed my eyes, and I had my arms out like this, and I felt this tingling pull from my hand all the way up my arm here, and it kind of felt like I had almost like a blood pressure cuff on me because it was tingly and it was tight, and I was like, oh my God, you did it. This is super cool. This is, so that was awesome.
Again, energy transfer. You actually, she gave you her energy.
Yeah, a little bit. So she took a lot of mine because I wanted her to.
There we go. That's the key. She extracted energy from you. And again,
I felt her palm. Exactly. That was the exchange of energy.
The chakra right there.
Sucked it right out. It was super cool.
Really works well. That's great. That's great. We're going to actually talk about that a little bit later on, too. Another way to take in the energy is from the 5 elements. And by 5 elements, I mean the ones that are part of our natural universe. Those being earth, air, water, fire, and then sky, or what we call ether. Air is basically our atmospheric lower air, and then sky or ether is the upper air. In our natural environment world, the upper air or ether is not considered at all because it's not part of our environment. It's not part of our atmosphere. So they take in actually wood, which is a natural element, as well as, earth being one of those elements, metal, stones, all of those things that actually come from the earth. So it's a really, good connection.
The stones still kind of confuse me a little because I know I know that obviously they can deflect the energy, but they also give off. So
Correct.
it's just kind of like a non-tangible. What's the word I'm thinking of? Abstract concept, though. Sometimes,
yeah,
you know what I mean. It's like I get it and I don't get it.
I'm trying to think about a way to
I get it and I don't get it.
Think about it in terms of like an amulet. I'm trying to keep it away from like an alchemist kind of perspective, but think about it in terms of like an amulet, or even a medal that you put on, like St. Jude or St. Christopher,
Star of David.
Correct, Star of David, correct. All right, that's a metal. It's a pure metal, gold, right? Right, gold is usually but gold is usually what you wear, right? So that metal is really what is drawing the energy. The blessing that's given to it is more for your own
affirmation too, like what you believe.
So that you, exactly. Right? But the real truth of it, when it comes to the physics of it, that metal is what's really
physics.
And it's drawing the energy into you directly because it's touching your skin. But that's a natural, a natural absorption, which is one of the things that you want to try and do. 2 ways to do it, again, actively and passively. From those 5 elements, the easiest thing to do is just let it flow. If you attempt to resist,
let it flow.
Yeah, no, you're not. Just think about the example I gave before with riding the bicycle.
People that, for better lack of what I was going to say, people who don't do well with change.
Correct.
So,
in fact,
in work, in family, and it all affects
again, change. Change is inevitable. The change is going to happen.
You have to accept it.
Whether you want it or not, it's going to happen. Again, just like the universal laws that I kept talking about, the 3 laws, and why they're going to happen. I'm going to have to comply with that. So if that's the case, I might as well make that compliance as easy as possible for me. I don't want all the headache. Same thing with change. If you're resistant to change, it's going to happen. So the best thing to do is actually try and flow with the change of things. And that's where the energy comes in. Same thing here. I took the energy from the wind and absorbed it passively and moved it down into my legs so I could propel myself on my bicycle.
I mentally make it like this two-step
weekend,
process.
I went to the beach. I love going to the beach. In fact,
he pulled a Marcy.
I take beach breaks every now and then when I'm doing some work, and I can't. Know what? I need a fresh perspective, so I'll go to the beach and I'll see things, and things will come to me in epiphanies. Like,
it's almost like when creatives in the middle of the night, 3 a.m, are like writing down all these creative ideas.
I always carry a pad and pen with me all the time, simply because if an idea comes up, I need to be able to do something with it. So I'm at the beach, and I always try to absorb the energy from everything around me. So I'm taking in the energy from the sky. I'm taking it in from the sun.
That reminds me of something.
I'm taking it in from the water. When I wasn't on the water, I was on the beach. I'm taking it in from the earth. Okay, but I was floating out in the Gulf, and the Gulf is it's buoyant, salty water. So I'm floating so well. It got to the point where. Now, of course, I can't really meditate and go deep in like I would normally because I gotta, keep myself conscious around. I don't want to be some floating bob and then becoming shark bait.
And then the lifeguard comes out. All right.
Well, there are no lifeguards. Like literally, you just simply be shark bait. No. So, but by the same token, I'm still just trying to absorb the energy, and it was so peaceful, so soothing. So I almost felt like a cocoon. I told my wife. I understand why babies don't want to come out of the womb because it was the water was warm, but I'm just taking in all of this energy. And if you think about it from a philosophical point or even from a physiological point, when you have a baby that's in the womb, it's absorbing everything that it needs through the umbilical cord from the mom. Yeah, man, are you kidding? And it's comfortable. You're like, you don't want to leave. But I understood that, it was such an empowering moment for me.
Well, that's the other thing, too, with the energy is that mediums and whatnot, they collect everyone's energy in the room. And we talked about this before. So there are times where I've been around people in the workplace or whatnot, and they just project this certain vibe. And it's like, and then it's funny because at the end of the day, it's like, what did I do? I went on this meeting and I was exhausted when I get home because, you know, you're just taking in everyone's energy from your kids to your husband or your spouse to the people, you know, the grumpy person at the drive-thru for your iced coffee. I mean, whatever it may be. And I get tapped out pretty quick sometimes.
Yeah, this is a good segue because you said you take on other people's energy.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes I try to block, and that's where that whole thing is where you got to walk away. I mean, I know some people, and I think you do too, with their electromagnetic fields, which I know this is a whole different situation.
Correct. We'll talk about EMF sometime.
Yeah, EMF, electromagnetic fields are so high. And the like registers will go off, or like the lights will go on and off. That happened to me once. The lights go on and off. Yeah, it's really. I mean, for you to be able to do that, I mean, clearly, you know, you're not going to be, you know, wide awake all day. Like, hey, good morning.
Well, again, this is a great segue because you're taking in the energy. You got to be able to do something with it. For me, I like to try and move it to the areas in my body that I feel need the healing, the ones that may be a little weaker in energy.
Well, I guess that's where we need to be introspective too.
Correct.
Because
the introspection every day. I'm telling you,
I kind of ignore it sometimes, which
do it
is
as
bad.
much as you can,
and then you're flat on your tuchus
because it allows you to get in touch with yourself. Yeah, no, it's important. It really, really is. You know, when we talked earlier about the extraction and absorption, and kind of using that energy, you really want to flow it to where it's needed. You know, again, like I gave my example with the bicycle. The last thing, of course, you want to do is be able to transfer it to others. You talk about that with your friend, how she absorbed, but she also transferred to you. I think in our next episode, we may be talking a little bit about that and going into the idea of healing touch. But that's where that comes in. Where you actually utilize your energy to give it to others,
manifest
to boost
in
them
a
up.
good way,
She talked a minute ago about you know, when someone comes around you and all of a sudden you get a boost in energy, you're like, oh wow, you know, and they leave, you're like, wow, this person got me in a good vibe. I feel really good now. But yeah, that's because the person gave you some of their personal energy and you took it in. You know, you got to be able to do something
like
with
contagious.
That.
Yeah,
correct. I think the last thing I'll say on this one, and this is more of a point for the extraction and the absorption side. Being still is not the same thing as doing nothing. Yeah. Being still is an active process. Yeah. Correct. You're actively and consciously being still. That's what you do in your meditation. You know,
that's when you're most awake.
Doing nothing is a passive process. So it's a big different kind of consciousness. And that comes into play when you do your active and passive absorption of energy.
Well, that's like I was just saying, when you sleep, you're actually more awake, and you're more susceptible to receiving messages of loved ones that passed, or just spirits that come and visit you. And it's funny because some of them, people that don't feel they have the gift, they'll be sleeping and they could swear that, you know, they met somebody that, you know, needed to talk to them or whatever. And they asked me why. I'm like, well, clearly, you know, you have something in common. They felt like they can come to you.
Correct.
So.
You were open enough to actually be received by that person. And they were perceptive enough to say, hey, wait a minute.
Whether it's in the dreams.
I feel an energy draw here. Let me go there. The vibration is good. They feel this level of comfort where they reveal themselves. Or when they just
stare at you.
You know,
when they just stare at you when you sleep.
Sometimes we may think that that's actually a dream because we were sleeping, when in actuality it wasn't. It was actually an experience. Yeah,
astro traveling.
So we'll get into a little bit of that as well. We want to hear from you. We want to hear what your thoughts are. We want to hear the things that you want to talk about more than anything. We want to hear your experiences too.
Yeah. Share them with us because it's great content. It's awesome. And then you guys have any questions, email
Until
us.
then, of course, keep it positive and make sure you keep that love, light, energy.
And the email is positiveenergypodcast@gmail.com.
Correct. Correct. We're also on YouTube, the Positive Energy Podcast. We'll be uploading episodes as we do them, so that you'll have them and you'll have some of our little bloopers in between. And we also will be on the other platforms for audio. Later this week, I'm actually going to be going on Libsyn and creating an account, and we'll be putting stuff out on SoundCloud, iTunes, as well as a couple of other venues that they have there. So look for us. Keep tuning in.
Bye. Love light energy.